If you're eating these 3 nuts thinking you're protecting your prostate, you're actually feeding the exact inflammation that's shrinking your bedroom confidence and waking you up 3 times a night. I'm Dr. Mei Anderson, and in the next 13 minutes, I'm going to show you which snacks sitting in your pantry right now are quietly sabotaging your manhood, and the 3 that can reverse the damage in as little as 2 weeks. Here's something your urologist probably hasn't told you. Those 3 bathroom trips you're making every night aren't just about your prostate size. They're about prostate inflammation. And inflammation has a direct enemy you can eat starting tonight. But before I tell you what it is, let me ask you something that matters more than any test result ever could. When you wake up at 2 in the morning to pee, do you lie there afterward staring at the ceiling wondering if your body's just giving up on you? That frustration, that quiet anger you feel but never talk about, it's not in your head. It's biochemistry. And the fix starts with understanding why certain fats trick your prostate into swelling like a water balloon pressing against everything that used to work smoothly. I've spent 25 years specializing in men's health, and the pattern I see most often isn't what you'd expect. It's not the men who ignore their health who struggle the most. It's the men who think they're doing everything right. The men who switch to almond butter, who cook with coconut oil, who snack on cashews while watching the evening news because some article told them it's heart healthy. Those are the men sitting in my office, confused and defeated, asking me why their PSA keeps climbing despite doing everything the internet says. I had a patient, let's call him Richard, 64 years old, former marathon runner. The kind of man who read labels, avoided processed foods, and genuinely tried to take care of himself. He ate raw almonds every single day, used coconut oil religiously in his cooking, and kept a jar of cashews on his desk for afternoon snacks. By every mainstream measure, he was doing it right, but his PSA kept climbing. His sleep was destroyed, and his wife noticed something else. He'd lost interest, not just in intimacy but in the things that used to light him up. Golf outings, weekend projects, even conversation at dinner felt like work. When he came to me, he said something I hear at least twice a week. I'm doing everything the internet says. Why am I getting worse? That's when I realized the advice circulating out there isn't built for men your age. Your metabolism at 60 isn't the same as it was at 40. Your hormone sensitivity has shifted. The foods that protect a 30-year-old's heart can backfire catastrophically on a 60-year-old's prostate. And nobody's talking about it because the research doesn't sell smoothie bowls and fitness programs. Here's what most men don't realize about prostate inflammation. It doesn't stay isolated. It cascades. First, it disrupts your sleep because your bladder never feels truly empty. Then, chronic sleep deprivation tanks your testosterone production. Lower testosterone doesn't just kill your sex drive. It kills your drive for everything. Your motivation evaporates. Your confidence crumbles. You stop enjoying the hobbies that used to define you. Richard told me he stopped going to his weekly poker night because he was embarrassed he might have to get up and pee mid-game. He stopped traveling with his wife because the anxiety of finding bathrooms in unfamiliar places was too overwhelming. He felt like he was shrinking his own life, one declined invitation at a time. And here's the part that made him angry when I explained it. The 3 nuts he was eating every single day, the ones advertised as anti-aging and heart protective, were the exact foods keeping his prostate inflamed and his symptoms locked in place. Not because they're bad foods universally, but because at his age, with his hormone profile, they were working against him in ways he couldn't see on a nutrition label. When Richard sat across from me in my office, I could see it in his eyes. He felt defeated. He tried everything mainstream medicine offered. Saw palmetto supplements, prescription medications that left him dizzy, even considered surgery his urologist mentioned as a future option. So I did something simple that surprised him. I handed him a single piece of paper and said, for 2 weeks, swap these 3 nuts for these 3. Don't change anything else. Not your exercise. Not your medications. Just these 3 swaps. He looked at me like I was oversimplifying a complex problem. But here's what happened. Week 1, his bathroom trips dropped from 4 per night to 2. He told me he almost didn't believe it, so he started tracking it in a notebook by his bedside. Week 3, his morning energy returned. He started walking again, something he'd abandoned months earlier because he felt too drained. Week 6, we ran his blood work. His PSA had dropped 1.2 points. His urologist called me personally stunned, asking what intervention we'd done. But the moment I knew we'd hit something real wasn't about numbers on a lab report. Week 8, Richard came in for his follow-up and said something that still sticks with me. He said, "My wife told me I'm smiling again. I didn't even realize I'd stopped." That's when you know inflammation isn't just a medical term on a chart. It's stealing joy from men who deserve better. And when your body starts working with you instead of against you, it shows up everywhere. Not just in your bathroom schedule, but in your marriage, your friendships, your ability to look forward to tomorrow instead of dreading it. Let me show you what's actually happening inside your prostate when you eat the wrong nuts. Because once you understand this, every food choice becomes obvious. Your prostate contains an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. Its job is to convert testosterone into DHT dihydrotestosterone, a more potent form of the hormone. In balanced amounts, DHT is fine. It's part of normal male physiology, but when certain fats activate this enzyme excessively, DHT floods your prostate tissue like a river overflowing its banks. That excess DHT forces your prostate cells to multiply and swell. The gland enlarges, presses against your urethra, and suddenly you're waking up every 90 minutes feeling like you need to pee, even when almost nothing comes out. The 3 destroyer nuts I'm about to name are loaded with omega-6 fatty acids and specific saturated fats that spike systemic inflammation and overstimulate that enzyme. Your prostate swells, your urethra gets compressed, and your quality of life deteriorates week by week. But here's the critical part most doctors skip. The 3 healer nuts contain compounds, phytosterols, lignans, and concentrated magnesium, that actually slow down 5-alpha reductase activity, calm the inflammatory cascade, and allow your prostate to shrink back toward normal size. A study published in the Journal of Urology tracked 200 men over 60 for 12 weeks. Those who swapped just 2 servings of high omega-6 nuts for phytosterol-rich options saw a 34% improvement in urinary flow metrics. 34%. That's the difference between waking up exhausted and sleeping through the night. Between hesitating at a urinal and finishing confidently. Between dreading road trips and actually enjoying them. So here they are. The 3 nuts quietly destroying your prostate, and why each one matters specifically for men over 50. First, cashews. I know they're creamy, satisfying, and feel like a responsible snack choice. But cashews are loaded with palmitic acid, a saturated fat that directly activates inflammatory pathways in your body, particularly one called NF-kappa B. When that pathway stays lit up, inflammation becomes chronic. Your prostate tissue stays irritated, and DHT production accelerates. Cashews are also extraordinarily calorie-dense. 3 handfuls while watching television can easily add 400 calories without registering as fullness in your brain. Those extra calories settle as visceral fat around your belly, which then produces estrogen. Yes, fat tissue makes estrogen. An elevated estrogen in men further irritates prostate tissue and disrupts the delicate hormone balance that keeps your system functioning smoothly. I've seen this play out repeatedly. One patient came to me complaining about persistent urinary frequency and a creeping waistline he couldn't explain. When we reviewed his food diary, he was eating cashew-based salad dressings, cashew cream sauces, and handfuls of roasted cashews as his go-to snack. He thought he was making sophisticated, health-conscious choices, but those choices were directly undermining his prostate health and contributing to metabolic changes that made everything worse. Second, salted peanuts. Now, peanuts aren't technically nuts, they're legumes, but they're everywhere, so they deserve attention. They're high in omega-6 fatty acids, which isn't inherently bad until you realize most men are already getting 10 to 15 times more omega-6 than omega-3 in their diet. That ratio matters enormously. When omega-6 dominates, your body shifts toward inflammatory signaling. But there's something worse with peanuts specifically. They're susceptible to aflatoxin contamination, a toxic byproduct of mold that grows during storage, especially in cheaper bulk bins and conventional peanut butter. Aflatoxin stresses your liver, and your liver is responsible for clearing excess estrogen from your bloodstream. When your liver is overwhelmed, estrogen clearance slows down, levels rise, and your prostate pays the price. Add the high sodium content in most salted peanut products, and you've got a recipe for elevated blood pressure and increased urinary urgency. Studies using international prostate symptom score assessments show a direct correlation between high sodium intake and worsening lower urinary tract symptoms. Richard was having 2 tablespoons of commercial peanut butter on whole wheat toast nearly every morning. He thought the protein was beneficial. What he didn't know was that the aflatoxin burden combined with the omega-6 overload was creating a perfect storm for prostate inflammation that no amount of exercise or hydration could overcome. Third, roasted sunflower seeds. These show up in trail mixes, salad bars, and gas station snack aisles, marketed as heart-healthy and protein-rich. And for younger people, maybe they are. But for a man over 60 with prostate sensitivity, sunflower seeds are an omega-6 bomb. They contain particularly high levels of linoleic acid, which your body converts into arachidonic acid, a compound that directly fuels inflammatory pathways. That constant low-grade inflammation doesn't just affect your prostate. It affects your vascular system, your hormone regulation, and even your mood. When you add the typical roasting process, which includes heavy salting, you compound the problem. The sodium irritates your urinary tract lining, heightens urgency, and worsens nocturia, the medical term for waking multiple times at night to urinate. Richard was eating all 3 of these regularly. Cashews as his evening snack, peanut butter on toast most mornings, sunflower seeds sprinkled on his lunch salad. He genuinely believed he was supporting his health. Instead, he was unknowingly maintaining the exact inflammatory environment his prostate couldn't recover from. Now let me tell you about the 3 healers, the nuts and seeds Richard swapped in that changed everything. These aren't exotic superfoods you need to special order. They're accessible, affordable, and backed by decades of research specifically on prostate health in aging men. First, raw pumpkin seeds. If I could recommend one single food for prostate protection, this would be it. Pumpkin seeds are extraordinarily rich in beta-sitosterol, a plant compound that gently inhibits 5-alpha reductase, the enzyme I mentioned earlier that converts testosterone into DHT. By slowing that conversion, beta-sitosterol reduces the growth signal flooding your prostate tissue. Multiple clinical trials have shown that men consuming beta-sitosterol-rich foods experience measurable improvements in urinary flow rate, reduced residual urine volume, and fewer nighttime bathroom trips. Pumpkin seeds also deliver a concentrated package of zinc, magnesium, and vitamin E. Your prostate stores more zinc than almost any other organ in your body. Adequate zinc intake supports healthy prostate secretions and tissue structure. Magnesium aids in smooth muscle relaxation, which improves bladder control and reduces the sensation of urgency. Richard added 2 tablespoons of raw, unsalted pumpkin seeds to his Greek yogurt every evening. That's it. 2 tablespoons. Within 10 days, he reported noticeably stronger urine flow and longer stretches between bathroom trips at night. He told me he'd forgotten what it felt like to sleep for 4 consecutive hours without interruption. That simple addition gave him something he hadn't experienced in over a year. Rest. Second, raw almonds. Unlike cashews, almonds are rich in monounsaturated fats, the same type found in olive oil and avocados. These fats calm inflammation, support healthy cholesterol ratios, and improve vascular function throughout your body, including the blood vessels supplying your pelvic region. Better blood flow means healthier tissue and better function everywhere, including erectile tissue. Almonds are also loaded with magnesium, which supports nerve function and muscular control, both critical for bladder function. They provide vitamin E, a potent antioxidant that protects prostate cells from oxidative damage. And they contain riboflavin and manganese, which support energy metabolism and connective tissue health. Richard replaced his afternoon cashew habit with 20 raw almonds daily. That's about 1 ounce. Not honey roasted, not salted, just raw almonds. He paired them with apple slices to stabilize blood sugar and prevent energy crashes. Within 3 weeks, he noticed something unexpected. His urinary hesitancy disappeared. He no longer had to stand at the urinal waiting for flow to start. It just worked. That might sound like a small thing, but for a man who'd been dealing with hesitancy for 18 months, it was transformative. It gave him back a sense of control and normalcy he thought was gone forever. Third, ground flax seeds. Flax seeds are the single richest dietary source of lignans, plant compounds that act as gentle phytoestrogens. Now, before you worry about estrogen-like effects, understand this. Lignans don't feminize men. They modulate hormone activity in beneficial ways. Specifically, they help your body metabolize and clear excess estrogen more efficiently, which reduces the estrogenic burden on your prostate tissue. Lignans also inhibit 5-alpha reductase, just like the beta-sitosterol in pumpkin seeds, creating a synergistic effect when you eat both. Flax seeds provide both soluble and insoluble fiber, which supports gut health. A healthy gut microbiome plays a surprisingly large role in hormone regulation, because certain gut bacteria help metabolize and eliminate hormones properly. Flax also contains ALA, alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. While ALA isn't as potent as the omega-3s from fish, it still contributes to anti-inflammatory signaling, especially when combined with the fiber and polyphenol naturally present in the seed. The key with flax seeds is grinding them. Whole flax seeds pass through your digestive system intact, meaning you get almost none of the beneficial compounds. Richard bought whole flax seeds, ground a week's worth in a coffee grinder, and stored the ground meal in his freezer to preserve freshness. He mixed 1 tablespoon into his morning oatmeal every day. By week 4, he told me his urinary stream felt smoother, and the constant sense of urgency had diminished significantly. When we checked his cholesterol at his next visit, his LDL had dropped 12 points. Flax seeds were supporting multiple systems simultaneously. Those 3 swaps, pumpkin seeds for sunflower seeds, raw almonds for cashews, ground flax for peanut butter, created a cumulative anti-inflammatory effect that Richard's body desperately needed. He didn't eliminate the destroyers completely. Occasionally, he'd have a handful of cashews at a party or enjoy peanut butter on a weekend pancake. But he stopped making them daily staples, and that frequency shift mattered enormously. Now, I know some of you are thinking this sounds too simple. You've been told you need expensive supplements, prescription medications, or invasive procedures. And maybe, for some men, those interventions are necessary. But here's what I've learned after 25 years in practice. Your body is far more responsive to foundational nutrition than most people realize. Inflammation is often the root cause, and inflammation responds to what you eat 3 times a day, every single day. Richard isn't the only man I've seen transform through these swaps. I've worked with dozens of patients who thought their prostate issues were inevitable consequences of aging. Men who accepted poor sleep, declining energy, and disappearing confidence as their new normal. One gentleman, 68 years old, told me after 6 weeks on this protocol, "I didn't realize how much energy I'd lost until I got it back." He started volunteering again at his church. He resumed woodworking projects in his garage. He told me he felt like himself for the first time in 3 years. Another patient reported that his confidence in the bedroom returned. Not because of a pharmaceutical, but because his body started functioning the way it's designed to when inflammation isn't sabotaging every system. His wife noticed the change before he did. She told him he seemed lighter, more present, more like the man she married. That's what addressing root causes does. It doesn't just improve one symptom. It restores your capacity to show up fully in your life. If you're sitting there wondering whether this could actually work for you, I want you to try something. For 2 weeks, commit to these 3 swaps. Track your bathroom trips at night. Track your energy levels in the afternoon. Track how long you can go during the day without urgently needing a restroom. Let your body show you the proof instead of taking my word for it or waiting for permission from someone who doesn't specialize in men's health the way I do. Here's what I need you to understand about timing. If you don't make these changes now, 6 months from now you'll be exactly where you are today, or worse. Prostate inflammation doesn't plateau. It progresses. The bathroom trips increase. The sleep deprivation compounds. The testosterone decline accelerates. And one day, you're sitting in a urologist's office discussing surgical options that could have been avoided with better information earlier. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to give you agency over a process that most men feel powerless against. Now, here's what I need you to do right now. If you don't want to keep waking up at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, wondering if this is just how life is from here on out, hit that subscribe button below this video. Because next week, I'm releasing a video on the single morning habit that's secretly tanking your testosterone by noon. It has nothing to do with exercise or diet. It's something 90% of men over 60 do within 15 minutes of waking up, and it's sabotaging your entire day before breakfast is even over. If you ignore it, you're fighting an uphill hormonal battle every single day without even realizing it. And if you found this information helpful, if you finally have clarity on why your symptoms haven't improved despite your best efforts, I need you to do something else. Share this video with another man who's struggling. Text it to your brother. Email it to a friend from church. Post it in that group chat where nobody talks about real health issues because everyone's too proud or embarrassed. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is give another man permission to take his health seriously without shame or judgment. I'll see you in the next video. And remember something important. Your body isn't giving up on you. It's asking for better information. And now you have it.